what are the best questions in an ask campaign to make sure I get helpful information? All right, so an ask campaign, basically, if you're not familiar what an ask campaign is, that is ASK. It's basically where you're asking people what they want, because the concept is that the easiest way to sell anything to anyone or the easiest way to market anything to anyone is just figuring out exactly what they want and then sell them that, right? And that goes the same for legal services. And I say this all the time. As a lawyer, your business is law, but you're selling emotion. You're selling the peace of mind that comes with the resolution to their case. You're selling the benefit, because nobody wants to hire a lawyer. No offense, but nobody wants to hire a lawyer. No one wants to go to trial. No one wants to sue anybody. What they want is they have a desired result, and the lawyer is the means to get them there. So a lot of times people will advertise, like bankruptcy attorneys, for example, advertising, file for bankruptcy for $249 or whatever, maybe not $249, but advertise file for bankruptcy. But bankruptcy is not what they want. What they want is they want to eliminate their debt, or they want to get rid of all, they want to buy a house in 5 years, or they want to fix their credit, or they want to get they want to be able to pay their bills. They want to consolidate everything into a payment that they can actually afford, or they want the bill collectors to stop calling. With a divorce, they don't know. I mean, divorce. Maybe they want freedom. Maybe they want to make sure they have more time with their spouse. Maybe they want to make sure that they're financially taken care of. But like, the divorce itself is not the thing that they want. There's something else on the other side of whatever the services that you provide that basically, if you can identify what it is that they want, what their desires are, then it's a lot easier to sell them stuff. So I don't necessarily sell lawyers. Hey, I'm gonna get your website number one on Google. What I do is I say, hey, I'm gonna help you get more clients, because I'm gonna help you get more clients. I'm gonna make more money, because that's what they ultimately want. So one of the ways you kind of figure out what it is that they want is by doing an ask campaign. And an ask campaign is where you ask them some specific questions. Now they're asking the questions. I actually have a copy of my book here. If you don't have a copy of my book, go to freebookforlawyers.com and you can grab it. But in here, I've got, actually the ask campaign is completely laid out in here, all the questions. I don't even remember what the questions are, but okay. So, okay. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to ask them a series of questions. You're going to try to identify what they want, and you're going to try to identify their fears. So for example, and I always start off with, do you want to learn more about something? So let me put this in context. Basically, before I started, about a year ago, I did a thing where I told lawyers I was going to create some content about marketing a law firm, and I wanted to ask some questions to make sure that I wasn't actually leaving anything out. I want to make sure the resources were as complete as possible. So what I did is I asked anybody that was interested in receiving a free copy of this training if they wouldn't mind answering a few questions for me. And you can do this with your clients too. So what you can do is you can contact some clients, some past clients, and it needs to be your ideal clients. Like, don't ask your business partner, or don't ask your law firm partner or your spouse or whatever, because they're not your ideal client. You have to ask the ideal client. So what you can do is reach out to them, and you can say, hey, listen, I'm creating some free resources, and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. So would you mind answering a few questions? Because I want to basically create this content so that people that are in the same situation you were in before you hired us have some resources and get some answers. And I want to make sure that these resources are as complete as possible. So I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So first thing I always ask, are you interested in learning more about whatever? So for example, if I'm creating something for lawyers about social media, I always ask them, are you interested in learning more about social media? Because if they're not interested in that, then I don't even care about their answers, because they're not interested. They're not my ideal client. Now, it seems like a very basic thing, but I would ask them, you definitely want to ask something like that. The next question, which I'm pulling out from my book here, is what is your number one question about whatever? So what was your number one question about divorce? What was your number one question about DUI? What was your number one question about your injury case, or whatever it is? The next question is, what was your main goal? So what was your main goal regarding your personal injury case, or your divorce, or your bankruptcy, or your real estate deal, or whatever it is? And then you ask, lost. What was the number one thing that you want to learn about this thing? Or what was the number one thing that you wanted to know about this thing? So what was the number one thing you wanted to learn about divorce or, bankruptcy? Now you also want to ask, what is the number one thing about whatever that you want to avoid at all costs? And this is really important also. So what's the number one thing you want to avoid about your number one thing about bankruptcy that you want to avoid at all costs, or the number one thing you want to avoid with your DUI that you want to avoid at all costs? And what you're going to learn is by doing this process, you're going to learn what they want and you're going to learn what they don't want. And so for example, in doing this for myself, I learned that all lawyers want more clients, which is pretty obvious. But even though I thought I knew the answer, I still made sure to ask. And the three biggest fears, the three biggest things that lawyers wanted to avoid is they wanted to avoid losing time, they wanted to avoid losing money, and they wanted to avoid getting screwed by a marketing company. So that's why pretty much everything I do, even the cover, my book is called How to Get More Law Firm Clients. I don't know if you can see that. Without losing time and money or getting screwed by a marketing company. So what you do is you take the answers of your ask campaign. You take those questions, you get the answers, you figure out what the majority is. So what do most people want? What's kind of the general consensus that most people want? And what's the thing that most of them want to avoid? And then I always create what's called a how-to without statement. So how to, and then get more law firm clients, and then without losing time, money, or getting screwed by a marketing company. It's pretty simple. And then once you do that, then you can use that information. You can take that content and use it in all of your marketing. So how to eliminate all your debt. So if you're a bankruptcy attorney, instead of how to file for bankruptcy, you can say how to eliminate all of your debt and get the bill collectors to stop calling without losing your house. Or if you're a DUI, how to continue driving for a DUI client. You could do like how to continue driving to work even after a DUI to make sure that you don't lose your job, so you don't lose your house or whatever. I'm just making stuff up at this point, but that's basically what you do. You figure out how do they get what they want while avoiding what they're afraid of. And it's like I always say, it's like running downhill. It's so easy when you do that. It's all about the messaging.